Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So this week I want to talk about obscure platformer characters from game characters and games from the fifth gen. Um, this was a time where, it was an interesting time in the industry because it was kind of like the toddler stage of 3D gaming. We saw some 3D games during the fourth gen, and it was also pretty cool because we saw some of our favorite characters transition into the world of 3D. Some were able to pull it off, like Mario, Donkey Kong, Mega Man. Others like Bubsy and Earthworm Jim couldn't really cut it. Then you had the newcomers like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Banjo Kazooie. um, Cat's right here. But what about the other characters that came and went during this era that just faded into obscurity? Well, that's what I want to talk about today. So the first one is the Jumping Flash games. There was two of them for the original PlayStation. I think the first one was actually one of the first games I ever played for the PS1 anyway. And that's another thing. I'm going to focus mainly on PS1 and N64 because I never owned a Saturn. I've never even played a Saturn. And these are just some of these characters. There are other in platformers. There are others. These are just ones that I personally think are still fun to play. But for the Jumping Flash, he plays this rabbit robot. Try and say that 3 times fast. And you have to walk around these giant open areas or levels and rescue these little animal robot type thingamabobs. And you shoot enemies. You get these neat little power-up temporary things and stuff. Graphics are a bit dated, but it's still a really fun game to play, if you're looking for something different. Because that's one of the great things about platformers. Really anybody can pick up and play them. But yeah, and this game, both of them actually have awesome music. The Jumping Flash games. Actually, let me get this out of the way right now. All these games that I'm going to talk about have awesome music. The next one, this is more of a 3D shooter, but it does have some it's more of a third-person shooter, excuse me, but it has some 3D platformer elements to it as well, so that's why I'm going to kind of throw it in here, and that's One. That's literally the name of the game. I remember brother and I joked about this back in the day, they're going to make a sequel called 1-2. Now, I haven't played this game in years, but from what I recall, you play as this guy who was basically escaped from a science experimental lab or something, so he has you can kind of see a picture of him on there. He's got this robotic gun arm, so they're trying to recapture him, and he's trying to elude capture. And you navigate through a bunch of different I think there's only 6 levels, but some of them are awesome. The second one is you're going across rooftops, and you're going the catwalks. There's a part where you knock over an electrical sign to make a bridge to get across. There's another, I think it's the 4th level. You ride down a zip line, so it's you're holding on with one arm and then shooting with the other one, kind of like something you'd see in Contra. And the way you also have, because your main weapon is the gun, which you shoot green lasers with, and then it's kind of like a green laser machine gun type of thing. But you can also find other weapons. You can use melee attacks too, and then you can also find other weapons like a flamethrower. I think there's a rocket launcher. And what's interesting is the way your health works in this game. You can actually kind of see a picture of it on there, it's right in the corner there. It's kind of hard to make out, but your life is basically this. It's also your power for shooting wise, which I'll talk about in a second, but your life meter is this green sphere type of thing. Kind of looks like something from Tron. It almost looks like that thing that he talks to. That's yes, no. When he's in the Well, anyway, and I think it's we'll say 6 hits, I believe. Every time you get hit, it takes a chunk of it away. But when you kill a number of enemies, it'll add a yellow chunk on there, and then your attack will go from green to yellow. The lasers you shoot out will be yellow. They're stronger and faster. And then when you get 6 more of those, you start getting red chunks on there. So then you shoot even red laser, which is even more stronger and more faster. And then when you get more to that, it's like it starts like pulsating, and I think it's the triangle button you hit, and it makes like an explosion that kills a bunch of enemies. But yeah, overall, great game, yo. It's a shame that kind of faded into obscurity. This next one is on the PS1 as well as the N64, but I was always more familiar with the N64 version. That's Glover. Now, Glover, you play as this glove who, well, like most cartoon characters, he only has 4 fingers, so it's like the pinky and index finger are his, or like his arms, and then the ring and middle finger are his legs. And you go through 6 different worlds, and you have to navigate this ball through it. Through each world has 3 levels and a boss, and you have to navigate the ball through it. You throw all these different obstacles and stuff because it can pop, or it can break if it gets hit by an enemy or spikes or something. You can also turn it into 3 other objects: a bowling ball, a little metal ball, and a crystal. The crystal can break easily, but if you throw it or something, because that's the other thing. That's kind of how you attack in this game. You like throw the ball and you like whack it and like fling it and stuff. You can also, Glover has a couple of tricks. He can do a ground pound, which he turns into a fist. But yeah, basically, the thing is, it's like the balls, which are the crystal, is like their original form, and you're like trying to get them out of this world and back into this like safe area or something like that. I've never actually beaten the game, to be honest with you, but yeah, overall it's a fun game, but it is very hard and very frustrating. Next, so among some of the first N64 games I rented, it's the Chameleon Twist games. Now, they're both fairly similar, but I'm gonna, the first one, the characters look they look different. They look kind of more like Wooper from Pokemon, because there's actually 4 different ones you can pick as, like the 4 different characters, which are mainly just like color swaps, really. And then the second one, they look more like actual lizards or chameleons. And there's a few new abilities in the second one as well, but both games are fairly similar, pretty much. Like, basically, use your tongue to do everything, really. You slurp up enemies and, like, spit them out, kind of like Yoshi. Use it to basically make, like, a pole vault type of thing to navigate to different areas. You can lash onto, like, a post on a different platform. Like, if there's 2 platforms and then, like, a gap in between, like, that's just too big to jump over, and there'll be, like, a post on the other end, so you wrap your tongue around it and, like, pull yourself across. The thing with these games, they're fairly short. You could probably beat them in, like, one sitting, because there's only a handful of worlds, and each one only has, like, a few stages, and then there's a boss at the end of each of them. But they're very, very fun games. I still like to go back and play these, There's something like really anybody could play, like I said. Yeah. The last one is Rocket Robot on Wheels. It was done by Sucker Punch, the same company that did, or it was developed by Sucker Punch, I should say, the same company that did the Sly Cooper games. And it's interesting with this game is the way you progress in it is very similar to Mario 64, like how, in that you collect stars, and then the more you get, the more areas you gain access to. Well, in this you do the same thing, but instead of stars, it's tickets. Now, with Mario 64, I never stopped and counted how many, I'm sure I could probably look it up, all the different worlds that are in Mario. There's tons of them, and then there's like 5 or 6 stars for each of them. With this one, there's only 6 worlds, 7 if you count the main hub world area. And then there's like 12 tickets for each of them. And within Mario, it's like, when you complete a mission and get a star, you automatically leave the world. So in this case, you can get like as many tickets as you want. Like, if you go to, like, I'm going to go to this world, get, like, try and find maybe, like, 5 of the tickets, and then leave and go to another one or whatever. Your abilities are kind of limited in this, because, well, other than, like, jumping and moving around, or rolling, whatever. Instead, it's like you have, like, all you really have is this mini little tractor beam, which you use to pick up items and throw them. The same with enemies. But you also collect tokens, and you bring them to this other robot who gives you like power ups and stuff like a double jump and then like a slam move, because you need these to gain access to certain areas and get like certain things. Um, each world has like vehicles that you can find, which is kind of cool. So there's a lot to this game, and each world also has machine parts, which each they're like scattered throughout the world. The machine parts all look the same. Like basically each world has a machine that was disassembled, and you have to find the pieces. And the pieces in each world, each machine and machine pieces look the same, but in each world it does something different. Like in one of them, it makes this giant mechanical T-Rex that you go inside. Another one, it makes like the water flow through an area. And as for the worlds, there's like they're kind of all over the place, but my favorites are Paint Misbehavin', which is like kind of like an ancient Rome type of thing, and the other is Food Fright, which is kind of like basically like a Halloween type of world. But like I said, there's a lot to this game. If you like Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie, you'd probably like this game. But those are just some of the ones that I could think of. Maybe you can think of some more that you feel like nobody really talks about, that you can, let me know in the comment section about those below. See you next time, and as always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week.